This set of worksheets is on electricity, and this one is on the basics. It's very important that you do the worksheet first, leave blanks or get it wrong, and then use this video to correct your answers, rather than just using it as you go. If you don't want to listen to me explaining it, you can jump to the end of this video and all the answers are there. If not, I'll try and explain every question as I go. Question 1 says draw a sodium atom. The important things to note with a sodium atom is that there are 11 electrons. You can get that from the periodic table. The first shell only contains 2. As soon as it's got 2 electrons, it's now full. The second shell contains 8, and then that's full. And then you've got 1 left, which goes on the outside shell. Question 2. The name of the subatomic particles are the proton, neutron, and electron. The charge of a proton is positive, the electron is negative, and the neutron is neutral. All atoms are neutral because they contain the same number of protons and the same number of electrons. So therefore they cancel out and the atom altogether is neutral. The labeled diagram to show metallic bonding is shown on the screen now. The important things to note here are the red dots are the sea of free electrons, and they can move about the metal just like a liquid can. That's why they call it a sea of free electrons. Now in a metal like the table leg, they're not moving, but what's important is they could move. As soon as you plug it into the mains or a battery, they then can move. And because the outer electron is able to move through the metal, what's left behind isn't an atom anymore because it's lost that electron to the sea of electrons. Therefore, what's left behind are these grey circles, and they are your positive metal ions. So the two things you need to note here are the positive metal ions and the sea of free electrons. Question 4. A material that allows electricity to flow through it is a conductor. An example of this would be electrical wires or any metal. All metals conduct electricity, and that's because they all have that sea of free electrons. The material around the outside of the wires going to my laptop are made of plastic. It's used because it's an insulator. Plastic does not have those sea of free electrons, so therefore it doesn't conduct electricity. The word for this is insulator. You must use the word insulator if you had a question like this in the exam. Question 6. The metals contain a sea of free electrons, or if you're really good, you could use delocalized electrons, because that's slightly more advanced, but it means the same thing. Free electrons or delocalized electrons, it means that they can move about within the metal. Question 7. Plastic does not conduct because it doesn't have this sea of free electrons. They still have electrons, but they're in the atom and they can't move about. Question 8. Copper is used for the inside of the wire that goes to my laptop. Copper is used because it's a great conductor of electricity. It's also malleable, which means it can be bent or hammered into shape, and ductile, which means it can be made into wires. Some materials, like ceramic, is not ductile, so therefore it can't be made into wires, but copper is really good at that. Question 9. What's used to give the electrons energy? It's a battery, a cell, or the mains. The electrons in the metal aren't moving, but as soon as they're plugged into the mains, they're given the energy and therefore they can flow around a circuit. Question 10. The following light bulbs will not light up. This is because it doesn't complete the circuit. If you look, there's a little gap where there's no wire between the bulbs, so therefore the electrons cannot flow. And if there's not a complete circuit, the electrons can't flow. Question 11. Components A to F are shown on the screen. A is a cell. B is a battery. A battery is made of 2 or more cells. It's important that they go the right way round, so therefore the positive and negative of each one have to touch. If you put the 2 positives together, it won't work. C is a resistor. D is a motor. E is an LED. And F is a voltmeter. All of the components in this sheet are really important. If you see the word, you need to be able to draw it. And if you see the symbol, you need to be able to write down what it is. Now, a lot of these just take memorizing. So if you don't know them, cover them up, try and draw them from the word, and then mark it, and keep going until you know it. It's the later sections of electricity get much more difficult if you don't know these symbols. A is a thermistor. B is an LDR. If you have a look at an LDR, it's got like a resistor in the middle of it, and the light seems to go towards it. The arrows point towards it, so you can tell it's an LDR. C is a wire. D is an ammeter. E is a variable resistor. F is a lamp. G is a fuse. And H is a switch. If you didn't want me to discuss everything and you just wanted the answers, you can pause the video and mark your worksheet using this.